Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. I'm out here live at the 2025 NADA show in New Orleans, and I'm joined by Dave Perry, who's the CEO of BLiNK AI, which your booth is probably the busiest booth out here with a name like that, right?
It is. We've been super busy since we got here.
I bet.
And of course, we were sweating bullets like everyone else, wondering who was going to be here
That's
after
right.
the weather
That's right.
phenomenon. But we're super excited, and the booth is full today.
Yeah, no question about it. Who doesn't want to talk about AI? Every single vendor, every dealer is talking about AI. Talk to us a little bit about how and what I should say inspired you to join BLiNK AI, and then
Sure.
and then the vision and how it's evolved.
Yeah. Well, in an interesting way, it really wasn't the technology so much. I've spent my entire career in technology. I was doing AI in the 80s.
There was AI in the 80s?
Oh, absolutely. And there's been several
Wow.
failed attempts, right?
Really?
And I think this is the really big one here too,
Yeah.
because it requires so much computing power to do AI effectively that it just didn't exist before now.
Sure.
And so now we've got super powerful processors and software stacks. You just saw yesterday announced a $500 billion fund
That's right.
to develop AI. So now all the elements are coming together to really use AI to improve the lives of everyday people, and especially automobile dealerships.
Sure. Do you think that the president might cut you off like $100 billion of that to get automotive going?
Hopefully we won't need any government money. Fortunately, our company is bootstrapped. That was one of the things that really attracted me to the team. It was a great team of technical talent and some really solid people that had their hearts in the right place in the auto industry. And so, we're doing quite well. We're hopefully not going to require any government capital to do it, but if they want to give it to us,
they want
I'll
to give it
take
to you.
Yeah.
That's right. How is BLiNK AI revolutionizing the way that business is leveraged, with AI, I should say, today?
Yeah, well, a lot of the way that we use AI is trying to both understand what the customer's intent is.
Okay.
Oftentimes that's a difficult thing. That's why a lot of dealerships still use phone-based, setting appointments and asking questions, because there's so many subtleties to what people are really looking for, right?
Okay.
And so systems really weren't able till now to be able to really ascertain what somebody really wanted.
Okay.
And that would drive dissatisfaction with the dealership experience. But now we can do that. We can really understand what it is they're trying to achieve and make sure we align whatever dealer resources are available to meet that customer's needs. Mm-hmm. And then likewise, we can now explain things better as well. So for example, a lot of people come into a dealership and they're offered, some sort of a fluid flush.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to do it, but they don't really understand why that's important to their car. They just think that they're just trying to be sold something. There's a trust issue there.
That's right.
So what we can do is use AI to say to the customer, this is why this is important to you and your vehicle and the safety of your family driving the car.
Right.
And it drives a lot more upsell for the dealership, and it drives a lot better satisfaction for the user.
So for the dealer that says, well, I hear what you're saying, David, shouldn't our service advisor tell the customer that?
Well, absolutely, the service
But they
advisor
don't.
should.
Well, they don't.
But the problem is the service advisor is trying to deal with so many customers at one time.
That's right. It sounds good.
That now they're limited, right?
Yeah.
And now you got to wait for that service advisor. Now we can provide that capability anytime, anywhere, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
This generation now, they don't wait till the dealership opens. They want to book appointments at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And they want to do it from this.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, you've nailed
That's
it.
right. No question about it. And the reality is, to your point, that the service advisors, they clearly don't have time to do it. And we know that if you give 100% opportunities to 100% of the customers, much like we changed F&I, then you're going to get, your business is just going to go up. There's no question.
Yeah, and believe me, the service advisors have a tough job, and it's a really valuable job.
Yeah.
That's why you want to use AI and automation to deal with all the things that can be dealt with, and let them focus on the real customer issues that need their attention.
That's right.
The end result for the customer experience will be 10 times better.
Yeah, for sure. So share some of the innovations that you're currently working on.
Well, we've got a lot, actually. So we've got this really high converting scheduler that we've had for quite some time.
Okay.
Sits on a dealership's website and converts interest in making an appointment to an actual appointment about 90% of the time for most dealers. So it drives a lot more appointments into the dealership, which now allows you to schedule them throughout the day.
Okay.
One of the problems you probably experience is when you go into a dealership in the morning, you got a lot of people that just showed up. They got no appointment, and now they're fighting for resources from people that do have an appointment.
That's right.
So you use a really high converting scheduler, and now it smooths out that workflow throughout the day. Now you go into the dealership at any point in time, and there's a volume of people in there that keep the dealership busy, but not packed to the point that now you've created all this dissatisfaction with customers. It starts with that.
Okay.
But then you add on to that, that's not going to completely fill up the dealer's capacity for doing service. And so what we do is we run outbound campaigns for the service. So if you had brought your car in previously and declined some services, we can reach back out to you.
Nice.
Or if you haven't been in for a while, we can reach out to you.
Nice.
And each engagement that we institute on our own, we include our high converting scheduler along with it. So it makes it really easy for you to book an appointment. Less than a minute, you got your appointment, you're set.
Wow.
And now it drives so much more volume into the dealership.
I can totally see
throughout the day. So there's real benefits that accrue to the user. It's a much better experience for them. They get their appointment booked really quickly. They get all sorts of feedback. They can check with us really rather than bothering the advisor to find out if their car's ready or not.
Yeah.
And so we've got that engagement all built out there. We do something we call service score. So now at the end of the appointment, we'll text the driver and say, hey, how was your appointment today? Because what we want to do is find out immediately whether they had any sort of problem with the dealership experience and solve it before it becomes a retention issue for that customer.
That's right.
And feed that
back. Or a review online.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you can correct something that you know about early on.
Exactly.
And that's when that customer's emotions are running the highest.
Exactly.
Right? They're going to give you the real deal. And you can also fix the problem internally. If you got somebody that is on staff that is having a bad day or whatever the case might be. And when you do the reach out, is it through text message, email, however?
Omni-channel. So we said on the phones, we said we can do text messaging, we can do email campaigns.
Nice.
Depends on what the communication is and what the preference of the user is. So a lot of times what we see is that you started to book an appointment on the phone through our automated scheduler, but you didn't have your calendar in front of you, so you weren't sure what you're doing next Tuesday. So you dropped that conversation. So rather than allow that to maybe get out of the person's mind, we know that call dropped, and we'll text you and say, hey, let's rebook that appointment that you started out. Now you've got your calendar with you, and you complete it there. So we look at that entire customer experience as it migrates from one channel to another.
Wow.
And again, it just completes that whole user experience so much better.
And that's doing all of that without using the personal, or I should say the resources of the human resources of the dealership. And it's like, to your point, it's doing it 24/7 on the dealer's behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not there to basically displace employees. One of the problems is most dealerships have trouble keeping their BDC full of resources there. So that's why there's so many missed calls and the like.
That's right.
So we're there to really support the BDC to drive a much better customer experience.
Sure. Let's talk about culture. How do you foster creativity and an innovative culture at BLiNK AI? It's so difficult today, but how do you guys do that?
Well, that's a great question, and it's fundamental to what we do, right? And so what I try to do is you try to pick the best talent, but talent or skills can be taught, right? But a person's attitude is with them, right? So we look for those people that have passion for helping other people, solving problems, understanding the dealer's challenges, and not just the dealer. That's a problem throughout the entire industry. That what about that user experience? We got to be their support as well there. And sometimes you have to have a difficult discussion with the dealer. Look, some of the internal policies that you've got are driving some dissatisfaction. So you can't just adopt technology on a broken system. So sometimes this kind of forces the dealership to kind of think about, how do we engage with that customer throughout the process? And so you need to find people that have the backbone, if you would, to be able to tell a dealer just as it is. We're not there to just do the work for you there. We're to work with you to drive a much better experience and drive your business.
Full partner to that dealer. Wow. So talk to me about some of the trends over the next 5 years that you see.
Well, it's going to be an exciting 5 years, I can tell you that. There's going to be so many opportunities really to continue to drive this. But I think it's important for the automobile industry because there's also going to be a lot of challenges for the dealerships coming up, right? New car sales are struggling right now. There's a lot of competition from EVs. There's a lot of competition from other business models. You take a look at what Tesla's done on the EV side, but look at the customer experience that they're driving now too, because they've got control of it all the way from down to the end customer.
That's right.
And now there's too many different layers in the existing value chain as it's constructed that we need to get some better control over that. And I think that's where companies like BLiNK AI and AI specifically will be able to help drive a very consistent user experience across either horizontally through a lot of work we do is with dealership groups, where regardless of whatever brand, I want my customer experience to be the same. Regardless of whatever DMS or scheduler or drive software exists, we want the customer experience to be the same. And we can do that, but we can also drive a horizontal and vertical experience as well, all the way from the OEM down to the customer. So I think those are going to be some of the driving factors that we'll see. And to the degree that most of the dealers' profits come from the fixed ops side of the business, we think that we're right in the right place at the right time to be core to that.
That's fantastic. What are some of your personal goals for the future of BLiNK AI?
Well, I'm in the latter stages of my career. The co-founders of the company brought me out of retirement basically to come into this opportunity. I'm having the time of my life, but I'm at that stage where it's about passing it on to others. I've got an absolute great team of both at the leadership level, but all of our employees are just top-notch people, And to me,
So
I want this
transfer of knowledge.
I want them to look back at this and say that was the ride of a lifetime with that company and with that industry. And then I also look at, how can we make a real impact on a really big, important industry to our country? So that's my personal reasons for doing this.
That's awesome. You think it's going to be a good year in 2025 for retail automotive?
Absolutely great. Now I can't say so much on the new car side. There's a lot of things, interest rates and the like, that will drive a lot of that. But I can tell you, we're going to drive a lot of additional revenue and profits on the service end of the business.
That's for sure.
And we're putting a lot of energy into our product line and to our processes to make that, not just in service, but in parts and in telematics and lots of other areas that's going to drive value for our dealers.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, dealers, you heard here, Dave and his team are working on some really cool, innovative things that dealers are utilizing every day to reach out to your customers and to make that customer experience better, which we all want in this industry. That's kind of been our Achilles heel a little bit over the last 100 years. Every single consumer says, how come it's so hard to buy a car, or how come it's so hard to get it serviced? So I think after listening to Dave and talking to some of his clients, I think you're going to love what you see when you go to BLiNK AI. So check him out online. Dave Perry, CEO of BLiNK AI. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
This was a pleasure. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks so much.